This is my final video in my first series on professional English, and I want to use this to say something that is the most important across the 8 videos. If I'm honest, it's probably what I should have said at the very beginning, because it reframes everything. Here it is. Fluency and confidence are not the same thing. I'm sure some of you already know that, but here's the thing. They're not even closely related, and confusing them is the single most damaging mistake that a non-native speaker can make. I have worked with highly fluent speakers, people with excellent grammar, wide vocabulary, clear pronunciation, who were completely paralysed by self-doubt, who went silent in meetings that they were most qualified to speak in. I've worked with speakers whose English is genuinely imperfect, hesitant, accented, sometimes grammatically wrong, who walked into rooms and commanded them entirely. The difference between those two groups is not their English, it was their relationship with English. And that relationship is what today's video is really about. I'm Mike Fox, professional English coach, careers counsellor and a psychology graduate. Let's finish this series properly. Let me start by saying what fluency actually means, because I think the word is used too loosely, and that looseness can cause real harm. In linguistic research, fluency has a specific technical definition. It refers to the temporal features of speech, how fast you speak, how often you pause, how long those pauses are, how smoothly you can produce language without breakdown. A major meta-analysis published in 2025, synthesizing data from 71 studies spanning 60 years, found that speech speed is the single strongest predictor of overall language proficiency. The smoother and faster you can produce speech, the more proficient you tend to be. But here's what fluency doesn't tell you. It does not tell you whether you're going to speak at all. It says nothing about whether you will raise your hand in that meeting, apply for that job, or make the phone call. A person can be highly fluent, technically, measurably, and still say almost nothing because something else is stopping them, and something else entirely determines whether they speak. That something is confidence. Now, in research literature on second language learning, confidence is captured most precisely by 2 related ideas. The first is self-efficacy, a concept developed by the psychologist Albert Bandura and described as the most influential theory of positive language learning outcomes in the field. Self-efficacy is the belief in your ability to perform a specific task in a specific context, not a general personality trait, not something you have or you don't. It's specific, situational, and this is the critical part. It's changeable. Research consistently shows that self-efficacy is associated with stronger performance, greater persistence, and more frequent attempts to communicate. In other words, the more you believe you can do it, the more you try. And the more you try, the better you get. The second concept is what researchers call willingness to communicate, developed by linguist Peter MacIntyre in a landmark 1998 paper that has shaped the field ever since. Willingness to communicate is the readiness to enter into a conversation at a particular moment with a specific person. It is, in effect, the bridge between knowing a language and actually using it. And here is the finding that I want you to sit with. Willingness to communicate is a stronger predictor of whether someone actually speaks than their proficiency alone. Not how well they speak, but whether they speak at all. A highly fluent speaker who is unwilling to communicate because of anxiety, self-doubt, imposter syndrome will be less effective professionally than a less fluent speaker who communicates willingly, frequently, and with evident confidence. The researchers are unambiguous on this, I'm afraid, and it completely dismantles the assumption that most people bring to my coaching sessions. Most English teaching is built on a simple model. Improve your English and the confidence will follow. Learn more grammar, expand your vocabulary, practice your pronunciation, and at some point the confidence arrives. I understand why this model exists, and it's not entirely wrong. Competence builds confidence, and there is good evidence that practice leads to automation, the process by which speaking becomes efficient over time, reducing the mental effort required and freeing resources for other things. But the model is complete in a way that I think is genuinely harmful. Research has found something that I want to say very clearly. If learners lack confidence in their mastery of English, in their ability to get the message across, they are less likely to practice. Less practice means less fluency means less confidence. This is a spiral, and traditional English teaching, by focusing almost exclusively on language and ignoring the confidence, does almost nothing to interrupt it. The professionals I work with, the engineers, the lawyers, the HR professionals, the teachers, are almost never stuck because their English is insufficient. They are stuck because the spiral has been running for years and nobody has addressed it directly. Here's the insight that changes everything. The relationship between confidence and language is not one directional. It goes both ways. Confidence increases willingness to communicate. Willingness to communicate increases practice. Practice increases fluency. Fluency increases confidence. But the loop can be entered from the other direction. Research has established clearly and consistently that self-perceptions are not fixed personality traits. They are dynamic constructs, shaped by context, shaped by social interaction, shaped by experience. This means that confidence is not something that you have or you don't have. It is continuously built through experience, and experience can be deliberately shaped. When you learn a specific phrase for a specific situation, how to disagree politely, how to interrupt a meeting, how to handle the moment you freeze, and you use it and it lands, and your colleagues nod and build on what you've said, that experience becomes evidence. Evidence that you can do this. Evidence that your English is adequate. Evidence that the spiral can run in the other direction. This is why everything in this series, the bridging phrases, the signposting language, the STAR framework, the physiological sign, is not just a technique. Each one is an entry point into a different loop, one where confidence feeds communication and communication feeds confidence. I want to offer you something that I think crystallizes everything that I've said across the 8 videos. Fluency, in its technical term, is built over time through accumulated practice and exposure. It develops gradually, sometimes imperceptibly, and it cannot be significantly rushed. You cannot become fluent overnight, no matter how hard you try. Confidence is different. Confidence is a decision, or more precisely, a series of small decisions made repeatedly to act as if you belong in the room. To speak even when you're not certain, to use the phrase even when it feels awkward, to raise your hand even though your heart is beating a little faster. Research on growth mindset, Carol Dweck's landmark work at Stanford, established that the belief that abilities can be developed through effort leads to greater persistence, greater achievement, and more positive responses to setbacks than the belief that abilities are fixed. Applied to language, if you believe your confidence is fixed, that you are simply not a confident English speaker, and that's that, you will behave accordingly. You will stay silent. You will avoid situations that feel exposing. The spiral will continue. But if you believe, as the evidence strongly suggests that you should, that confidence is dynamic, situational, and responsive to experience, then a different set of behaviours is possible. You use the phrase, you have the conversation, you make the presentation. And each time you do, you generate the evidence that gradually, genuinely shifts how you see yourself. I want to look back for a moment across the 8 videos. Every video has been ostensibly about language and the English language. Why you freeze, how to stay calm, how to stop over apologising, how to sound confident in meetings, how to prepare for a job interview, how to give a presentation, why your English is better than you think. But underneath all of it, every single one has really been about one thing: the gap between what you're capable of and what you allow yourself to do. That gap is not a language gap, that gap is a confidence gap, and it's maintained not by the limits of your English, but by the stories that you tell yourself. The research is unambiguous. Self-confidence is the central mediator in second language communication. Not a nice to have, not a personality trait that some people have and others don't, a learnable, changeable construct that responds directly to experience and can be directly addressed through coaching. This is what I do, not just teach English. I help people close the gap between what they are capable of and what they allow themselves to do. If you have watched this video or followed the series, I want to say 2 things to you directly. Firstly, thank you. And then the fact that you're here, working on your professional English, thinking carefully about how you communicate, that tells me something about you. That tells me that you're not someone who has accepted the spiral is permanent. You believe on some level that things can be different. They can. The evidence says so. You already have more English than you think. You already have more to say than you allow yourself. The work is not about learning more. It's giving yourself permission to use what you already have. That permission, that decision to speak, to contribute, to be heard, is what confident English really is. Thank you for watching. It's meant a great deal to make these videos. If any of this has resonated with you and you would like to book a session with me one-to-one, a link to book a free discovery call is in the description below. No pressure, no obligation, just an honest conversation. I'm Mike Fox. I hope to speak with you soon.